All right, another edition of Riding Home here. Dean Legge and Keith Marshall, a former five-star player for the Dogs. And Keith, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about, but let's start with Georgia and Michigan and where the Dogs go from here. Obviously, you watched the game with Alabama. I've talked a lot about that. We're coming down to the Michigan game. I don't want to overthink the Alabama game, but your thoughts on where Georgia is right now getting ready for the Wolverines?
Well, absolutely. I mean, obviously the game didn't go as anybody kind of hoped or planned, or really, in my opinion, I thought we were gonna win. I
It
thought we
looked
were better.
like that.
Yeah, I mean, I thought across the board this year we had been more dominant on offense. On defense than them, and offensively, I thought we were right there together. So I was somewhat surprised. I'm sure kind of the energy in the building, they were disappointed, but they obviously have to focus on what's next to come in Michigan, who's a very worthy opponent and has been playing really, really well. So in my opinion, you got to kind of put that game behind you as a player, as an organization. Some of the takeaways, I know Aaron talked a little bit about some things he took away from the game as to why he thought we weren't successful, and I agree with it, pretty much top to bottom. The one area of difference, I do think we have some guys on the outside that can be explosive and go make those plays, and I think
Who?
we have what's his name? Arian Smith is. I know he's been banged up this year. Hopefully we can get him back. Jermaine, number 7, Jermaine. I think he's an extremely explosive player. He has an opportunity to make a lot of plays down the field. Obviously George Pickens is good. The young kid Mitchell. So I do think we have that talent. We just have to make sure we put them in positions to be successful.
I remember watching you and John Theus were at the championship game after 17. You're watching. Y'all played. I mean, y'all are guys who maybe are not as emotional about it as fans are. What do you see? What do you watch when you're watching games?
Honestly, I'm trained to watch the running backs because, that's what I've spent hours and hours breaking down that film. So that's typically what I look at. I kind of watch the line of scrimmage, watch the way the running backs are reading. As far as defense, that's not necessarily my forte. So I don't break down the coverages. I kind of, like I say, stay within the box.
When you lose a game, how long does it take for guys to change and go to the next game? I mean, are we talking about hours or days?
I think it depends. I think, obviously the goal is for people to be able to do it quickly. I know you kind of asked Aaron about, how does a team bounce back? And I think that's one of the things that you have to do is say, okay, we had a disappointment. We're going to have to package that, put it behind us, and focus on what's next. I'm sure that's the message that Kirby and those guys are preaching. And I've been on both sides of it. I've been in, losses that motivated us. We had another opponent coming up. We realized we had some holes and some areas to improve, and we really dug down and make sure that we did that. Then I've had losses where, we were so disappointed where it kind of it hung over our heads for a little bit. And so obviously the goal is to move on. Everything that you want from a program's perspective this year for Georgia is still in front of you. So we don't have the opportunity to really sit and kind of sulk on that Alabama game, in my opinion.
So I want to ask you about the 14 running back group. And that was a legit, about as good of college football running backs as ever. What was that? What was that room like? I mean, what were the egos? I mean, Todd was in there, so I know there's egos, right? I mean, I was just playing. But, Nick was in there. You were in there. Sony was in there. I mean, that was a really solid room.
Yeah, I mean, so that was actually an interesting year for me. That was the year I was coming back off of my 2013 injury. And, I had some success early on. And so obviously with the guys, Todd already been in the room. You know what that was, how explosive and special of a player he was. And then me understanding how freshmen can come in and be extremely dominant, like knowing Nick and Sony, these guys are 5 stars. I helped recruit those guys. I know what they're capable of. So there was certainly a healthy amount of competition in the room. The thing that I appreciated, and even to this day, we were all supportive of each other. The mindset is, we all win if anybody wins. We want everybody to be successful as we compete. If I get better, that's going to push the next man to get better. I think, we've kind of seen that ethic, I guess, all around college football now. I mean, it seems like most running back rooms, you have 3 or 4 guys now. It's not just one guy that's carrying the load as much as it was back in the day. So I think it's good for everybody. Longevity. Everybody gets to kind of share in the shine. It's good for the whole team.
What was BMAC like when Brian McClendon, I should say, what was Brian like when he sold that to y'all that way? I mean, because people may or may not remember, Keith, Isaiah was there before you. Yeah, Isaiah was there before you and Todd got there. And 2 guys from Eastern North Carolina that, I mean, everybody knew about you. Maybe people did not as much about Todd because of location. And he really didn't play running back until a lot his senior year. He was playing safety and stuff like that. What was BMAC's selling point to everybody saying, hey, listen, y'all are all here. You're all badasses, but we got to be smart with the way we do things. What did BMAC say?
So, I mean, the reason I had so much respect for BMAC and, obviously wanted to end up coming to the University of Georgia was, as you go through recruiting, obviously, like you said, I was highly rated. So I had a lot of coaches in my ear telling me, if you come here, we can guarantee you're going to be starting day one. You have these opportunities, X, Y, and Z. BMAC presented like you have an opportunity to go in there and compete against guys that are also good, and whoever's the best is who's going to get the ball. And as somebody that's a competitor, the way I was raised, kind of like you get what you earn. That's something that resonated with me. And I think if you see the guys that we've come through this room, like you mentioned, Todd, he has that same type of mentality. Nick and Sony, what type of guys those are. And so I think it really appeals to guys that are not looking for, an easy path. They want to come in and work and really earn their keep.
One opportunity that none of y'all got, and Todd had to deal with the nasty side of this. Y'all never did get the ability to monetize Keith Marshall. You didn't. Todd got the ability to monetize it, but was penalized and was emotional. I mean, I don't want to go too far with it, but that was bad for Todd. And what I mean, like internally, it hurt him. You could see that. Now you and Aaron and the Frickses are getting together to talk about, hey, how can we make this? I don't know about right, but you have an opportunity now that y'all never had. I'm going to give you a chance to talk about the Players Lounge.
Yeah, so I mean the NIL or the opportunity for kids, these young student athletes to get paid for kind of their contribution to the university is something that's been a hot topic for a long time. It's something I'm obviously in support of. I think, beyond just getting a little money in your pocket, a lot of these kids come from environments where this money, it can be life-changing. It can, change the trajectory of their future, help them support their families now, and some people need the help now. So I'm a big, I'm grateful for these kids. I wish, like you said, that, we had some opportunities 10 years ago to take advantage of some of those things. But obviously it's here now. And I think as ex-players and looking back and understanding the business world now, as you mentioned, I'm kind of getting an MBA. So I'm very much immersed in that and understanding economics and how you can, try to take the skills you have and market them. I think there's a real opportunity for these kids to build personal brands and be able to leverage that in order to, make money and support their families.
All right, so I didn't get a chance to mention the fact that you're at MBA and at Emory. My father got his PhD from Emory. My sister got her master's from Emory. I completely understand everything about Emory. It's not so far from where I grew up. What are you learning in MBA at Emory that says that what y'all are doing here makes sense? What's the marketplace, Keith? Where are we at here?
So I was a finance major in undergrad, Terry, proud alum. And so one of the areas I focused on in my MBA was kind of strategy and finance. So I've taken a lot of deep kind of finance, alternative assets, frontier assets. And we've actually had a lot of talk about, blockchain more broadly, but then, people talk about cryptocurrency and now non-fungible tokens. And so I'm very familiar with the space. The activity over the last, 24 months, particularly the last 12 months, has been insane. I was looking up some numbers yesterday and it said there's been $22 billion in sales over the last 12 months or year to date. And so obviously, and a lot of this money is not, what you would call retail investors. These are major market makers that are investing in this space to make sure that they don't get left behind. So I'm talking JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, these names that everybody understands. They're really a part of what's pushing this space forward. And so it's here to stay. I know a lot of people don't understand blockchain technology and, I won't go too deep into it, but it's not something that's going away.
Why give back though? Why are y'all all giving back to the institution? Why give back 50% of what y'all are offering here to the public?
Well, obviously, I think we all love the University of Georgia. It's a big part of who we are. It's a big part of my brand. It's a big part of the things that I'm proud about that I've been able to accomplish when I look back on my life. And, as we mentioned, the University of Georgia and the fan base and the excitement that's around college football as a whole is really a market that's ready-made for NFTs. And so it was almost like, it's an opportunity for us to get back, but we also understand this opportunity here to really make a mark. And obviously with the NIL and these kids kind of being the driving force of that excitement in that community, we don't want to do this and not include them in it. We feel like that's been done over the years where people have profited off of the work that these kids are putting in, and we don't want to be a part of that,
Keith, what is the value of a player at Georgia? I mean, if you could value, can you put a market value on Keith Marshall as a freshman at Georgia in 12?
I've heard numbers. I haven't done any analysis, so I don't want to, ballpark and make up anything. But I mean, everybody knows how much the University of Georgia football program pulls in every year. Sure. And, you could, come up with some type of analysis and break it down by the player, how many, how successful they are on the field, how much marketing they bring to the university and stuff like that, and actually probably come to a number. And I would for the big name guys, I would hypothesize that it's in the millions.
I think you're right. Yeah. I mean, you're talking the University of Georgia's athletic budget is pre-pandemic was 182 million dollars. We're about to have a contract extension in 2024 that will bump that up by about another 32 million or so. So you're talking easily over 200 million dollars. I mean, what is the value of X? Gunnar Stockton or Stetson or Todd. I mean, could you imagine? Todd was on the way to winning the Heisman Trophy, man. Okay.
Well, I think your question is a great question. We don't know, but what we're building this opportunity is opportunity for us to find out. Like the whole idea, I'm a big proponent of free market economics, and the idea is kind of you get the value that you provide. And so this is an opportunity for us to bring that into this space where these kids through NIL deals, if the market values you, if donors want to participate, if, different brands want to use you to market their stuff, you have an opportunity to do that now. And so you can actually figure that out. And I think it will kind of play out over the next few years.
Well, when you say play out, what are you worried about? This has nothing. I encourage everybody to go down below, click below about what these guys are offering to the public and for the players at Georgia. But I did want to ask you this, Keith, which is that when you look at, this is about as capitalistic as anything right now. There are no real, I don't know of any real rules that are surrounding things right now. It's sort of, hey, I am X, I can get paid X because I am worth X. What do you see in the future in terms of regulatory stuff that could come up and change NIL? Or do you think it's too late for that?
No, I'm sure as the space continues to evolve, certain structures will be put in place to make sure that we're protecting some of these athletes because, that the fact that they can be accessible to a lot of brands now, means there is an opportunity for some to be in situations they may not have the intellectual power at the moment, being a young college athlete, to understand. So I think there will be kind of some services and things that stand up around it. But as I mentioned, bro, I'm a huge fan of the idea of free market economics. I think
how huge are we talking here?
I'm a big fan. It's particularly when we're talking about college athletics. That's, okay. I think, I don't want to get into politics and stuff like that, but
sure.
We're talking about college athletics. You have a whole economy that's been stood up around the college athletes, and everybody has had a chance to really extract value and get very, very rich, except for the athletes, right?
I have gotten money from. Where do you think all this is coming from? It's coming from when y'all were playing football. We broadcast this guy named Keith Marshall's 5-star commitment in Raleigh the day he picked Georgia. Everybody has made money through the years of this, except the people who are slipping on silver britches or putting on helmets, and that's the only folks who haven't done it. But anyway,
for the people that are against it, I would say, at 18 years old, we send kids to war. You can go to prison for if you make a mistake. There's no reason in my mind that you shouldn't be able to get paid for the value that you bring to an organization.
And y'all are giving the public the capability not only to invest in the university, but in themselves as well, correct? Last snippet from you about that.
Absolutely. So the whole idea around this community is it's going to be, open source. We want to kind of crowd collect ideas. So, fans, they might have an idea as we move into the Web3, what type of experiences they would like, what type of ways they want to interact with the players, with the content. And so the idea is for us to co-create as a community and for that to be the end product. So we're super, super excited about this opportunity. We're looking forward to feedback from the fans, from the people that, click on that link and decide to join the Mafia family. And I'm very excited about the opportunity that this provides us all.
What does Georgia need to worry about with Michigan?
So actually, I've watched way too much Michigan football this year. My fiance is actually in residency at Michigan. Both of her parents went there. I think the one thing that I think we're a better team. Much like Aaron said, I think across the board we're a better team. They're very similar to us. Our strengths match up very good against their strengths. I think they're just kind of that Cinderella story. Like, they weren't ranked at the beginning of the season. Everything's kind of falling into place. They're playing really good ball. They play together. Good leaders. Really some strong players on the team. So, that's the only thing. But I think X's and O's, as far as players, all that stuff, I think we're the better team. And I hope that we, prove that in a couple of weeks.
Everybody, click the link below. Keith, thanks for joining me, and thanks for what y'all are doing.
Thank you.